a deep, unsettling stillness. That's what I felt when I unlocked the front door, the click of the lock, a gunshot in the oppressive silence. The stench of antiseptic from my long day at the clinic clung to my clothes, a ghostly reminder of the wounds I had closed, the lives I had patched back together. My own hands, so steady when holding a scalpel, trembled as I pushed the door open. I walked into a vacuum, a void that was heavier, more suffocating than any noise. The house, usually a sanctuary, felt like a crime scene. The first clue was a small, pearlescent flicker on the hardwood floor. A pearl earring. Not mine. My heart, a finely tuned instrument of rhythm and beat, stuttered. I bent down and picked it up. Its cold, smooth surface felt alien in my palm. A faint floral scent, sweet and familiar, yet utterly out of place, hung in the air. A scent I recognized, but didn't belong to me. My medical bag slipped from my shoulder and hit the floor with a soft thud. I walked further, the dread in my stomach solidifying into a cold, hard knot. In the living room, 2 wine glasses sat on the coffee table. One, my usual glass, was half empty. The other, a delicate crystal flute, held a smear of vibrant cherry red lipstick, a shade I would never wear. A low murmur of voices drifted from the master bedroom. My husband, Daniel, and another. My mind, a machine of diagnostics and facts, rejected the vague and demanded the specific. Not just another, a name, a face, a truth I wasn't ready to face. I stood at the threshold of the bedroom. The door was ajar. Through the narrow gap, I saw a flash of fiery red hair against our crisp white pillows. My world didn't shatter with a bang. It fractured with a silent, sickening slowness, like a delicate vase cracking from within. It was Clara, my sister, the woman I had taught to ride a bicycle, to braid her hair. The one I had loved without condition lay in my bed, in my husband's arms. The betrayal wasn't a sudden stab. It was a slow, deliberate amputation of my past, my present, and my future. There was no scream, no plea, no dramatic confrontation, just a clinical, almost detached observation. My mind, my greatest tool, began to work not on a cure, but on a plan. A cold, methodical, unyielding plan. I wouldn't cry. I wouldn't rage. I would become a ghost in my own house, a silent observer of their deceit, gathering evidence not for a divorce lawyer, but for a reckoning. For 10 years, I had believed in a lie so meticulously crafted, so deeply woven into the fabric of my life, that I couldn't distinguish it from the truth. My life with Daniel was a masterpiece of deception, a perfect painting with a rotten canvas. I remembered our first date, a rainy night spent laughing over cheap wine and sharing dreams. Daniel, with his kind eyes and gentle hands, had seemed so genuine. He had spoken of building a life, of growing old together. Now, every memory was a poisoned photograph. Then there was Clara, my sister, my confidant, the one who held my hand when our mother was sick, who was my maid of honor. The flashback hit me with the force of a physical blow. Our wedding day. Clara, radiant in her bridesmaid's dress, had caught the bouquet. "This is a sign," she whispered, her eyes shining. "I'll be next." The memory now felt like a curse. Had she been plotting it all along? Was the bouquet a trophy, a symbol of a victory she already knew was coming? I started to see the past differently. The way Daniel would insist I take the night shift at the clinic, so you can help more people, Evie. He had always framed it as a noble sacrifice, but now I knew it was his window of opportunity. I recalled Clara's sudden interest in my hobbies, a thinly veiled excuse to spend more time at our house when I was away. The late-night phone call she'd always end abruptly when I entered the room. They weren't small, isolated incidents. They were pieces of a puzzle I had been too blind to solve. I had been a surgeon of other people's lives, but I had been blind to the cancer growing in my own. Over the next few weeks, I moved through my own life as a ghost. I cooked Daniel's favorite meals, my hands now steady with a different kind of purpose. I listened to his clumsy lies about late meetings and guys' night, each word a stone I was collecting for my arsenal. I feigned exhaustion, a weary normalcy that made them complacent. They thought my fatigue was a sign of my professional devotion, not a symptom of my internal war. They mistook my silence for ignorance, my stillness for weakness. My home became a laboratory. I began my meticulous observation. I noted the scent of Clara's perfume on Daniel's clothes, the deleted text messages on his phone I recovered using a simple data recovery program, the way he would suddenly straighten his tie at the mention of Clara's name. I became a detective in my own life, meticulously gathering evidence. The data was damning. A timeline of their affair, a twisted tapestry woven from secret dates and stolen moments. I uncovered hotel receipts, flight itineraries for business trips that I now knew were stolen weekends with my sister. The evidence wasn't just for a legal case, it was for a psychological one. I was building a case against their character, their love, their very souls. I drove to Clara's apartment while Daniel was at the gym. Inside, the air was heavy with the same floral scent I now loathed. My rage, a slow-burning ember, flared into a controlled fire. On her nightstand, next to a photograph of us laughing together, was a book of poetry. The inscription was in Daniel's handwriting. "For my love, you inspire me more than you know." It was the exact same inscription he had written in my copy for my birthday. I took a picture with my phone, not for evidence, for my own dark pleasure. They had not just stolen my husband and my sister, they had stolen my love, my memories, and reduced them to a cheap copy gesture. The opportunity for my grand reveal came on our 10-year wedding anniversary. I chose this day with deliberate cruelty. The day that was supposed to be a celebration of our love would now be the funeral for their lie. We had a small dinner party, a few close friends, and of course, Clara. I watched her fidget with the lace on her dress, her eyes darting nervously around the room. I saw the relief in his eyes when he thought I hadn't noticed anything. They were so predictable in their guilt. As the cake was brought out, a 2-tiered confection with delicate sugar flowers, I raised my champagne glass. My voice was clear and calm, cutting through the celebratory chatter. "I want to propose a toast," I began, "to 10 years of marriage and to family." I smiled, a dazzling, terrifying smile that didn't reach my eyes. A decade is a long time. You get to know a person. You get to know their secrets. And sometimes you find out they're not who you thought they were at all. I put my glass down, the sharp clink a punctuation mark in the sudden silence. Today, I was looking through some old photographs. I found one from Clara's last birthday. Do you remember Clara? You were wearing that beautiful red silk dress. Do you also remember what Daniel gave you? A beautiful necklace. Clara's face went white. I pulled a delicate gold chain with a small sapphire pendant from my pocket. "Funny," I said, my voice dropping to a low, dangerous whisper. "I found this one in Daniel's car. He said it was for my anniversary." The guests were frozen, their faces a mix of confusion and horror. I became a prosecutor, delivering my devastating closing argument. I had another thing I found, I said, holding up a USB drive, a little collection of emails, text messages, and a timeline. It seems a decade is a long time to build a life on lies. 10 years of promises, of trust, of love, all built on a foundation of betrayal. My eyes, 2 chips of ice, fixed on Daniel. Daniel's face was a mask of shock and shame. Clara looked as though she was about to faint. The facade of our perfect life had been systematically dismantled, piece by piece, by the woman they thought they had outsmarted. My final act of vengeance was not loud or violent. It was quiet, calculated, and devastating. I turned to the guests, my face softening into a weary sadness. "I'm sorry," I said, my voice shaking slightly. "This is